Hey YouTube, Sean, Griffin RC Planes. Having trouble getting your plane to go in safe select by using a switch, the on and off part of the safe select. I got a few comments and questions about 4 weeks back, and I apologize for just now getting to them. 4 weeks back was, I think, right about the time my mom was getting discharged from the skilled nursing facility, and boy, did the phone calls and everything start happening then. It seems like every outfit that was helping her had to call for approval and this and that, and I was busy. But these questions were, let me read them to you. That way we'll all know what we're talking about. Pretty important stuff. So, one of them says, hey, can you please help, with some stuff? And he says, I have an E-Flite P47 with a 636 receiver. 636 receiver in my hand, and we're going to say that this is a P47, all right? And he says, when the ailerons are moving, when the plane is on the ground, I switch it between AS3X and safe, and one mode, the surfaces are trimmed, and when I switch it to a different mode, one aileron moves up and one aileron moves down. All right. And he said, what happens there? And then at a second plane, a P51 that is in safe mode, I'm not able to assign the toggle switch to change from safe, on and off. He's describing it as between AS3X and safe, and that's not the case. So AS3X is separate from safe. The AS3X stands for artificial stabilization, and that is for the wind, that's stability. Okay, that's the cruise control in your car, but in your plane, well, kind of stable assistance. The safe is what keeps it level, or the other mode is the limited bank angles. So in this particular plane with the 636 in it, it is always in the AS3X mode, and you have the ability to add safe to the AS3X. Okay, so just to clarify that, you're always in AS3X, and you can turn safe on and off, or some planes go to the intermediate mode, the limited bank angles. All right, so he says, I'm not able to assign the toggle switch to use switch B. I'm in high rates, the servos reach 100%, I toggle it 5 times, and I can't seem to assign a switch. And for those of you that may or may not know, all the planes have the ability to use a switch to turn off safe select, on and off. And you can either use the screen of your transmitter and a program cable and make all that happen, or you can bind your plane, grab your transmitter, hold the 2 sticks down and together, and then toggle the switch 5 times, and that is programming it to use the switch to turn safe on and off. Okay, that's if everything else is set up in order to do that. In a transmitter like this one that already comes set up and ready to do that switch toggling to assign safe select to a switch, it would be using the gear switch up here, switch A or B. It's not labeled, but the gear switch. So it's already programmed in the transmitter that this switch is going to operate channel 5, which is landing gear. And if you want to use this switch to turn safe select on and off, when you bind the plane, you hold the sticks down and together, and then you toggle the switch 5 times, which is actually 10. So it's on and off is 1. So up, 5 times is actually 10 strokes. And then if the receiver recognizes what you just did, then the control surfaces will move. Now you have safe select on and off by using this switch. Okay. We'll go into more switch setups later. This is Simba, by the way. So he says, hey, I can't do that. I'm in high rates. Well, I have programmed this 636 receiver to the P47, which is serial number EFL 8950, discontinued plane. I'm going to mount this receiver in my test plane The way the receiver is mounted in the P47 is the Spektrum decal, the letters are up and the pins are facing towards the propeller. This plane has landing gear and flaps. So let's put the 636 in our new P47 and then we'll talk about everything that he was just talking about. So sit tight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me say that I think I said the model number wrong or the plane number wrong. This AR636 receiver in our demo plane I programmed to the E-Flite P51D EFL 8950, a discontinued plane that came with a 636 receiver a while back. So let me read you a couple of the questions again that various people have sent that everybody can benefit from. But one person says that when I switch between AS3X and safe, that the ailerons, one moves up and one moves down. Well, to clarify one more time, AS3X is separate from safe. The AS3X is for stability, and the safe is to keep the plane level or limited bank angles. When you switch safe on or off, you will still have AS3X active. So it's active with safe on and with safe off. But the person says my trims are centered in my transmitter, and when the plane is on the ground and I turn safe on, that the ailerons deflect. One goes up and one goes down. So we will show that in the demonstration here. And then another question says I happen to have a P51D that is in safe mode, and I'm not able to assign the toggle switch for the AS3X and safe to my switch B. I'm in the high rates, the servos reach 100%, I toggle 5 times, and I cannot switch between the two modes. It always stays in safe. So we'll demonstrate that as well. So first, let's plug all of our servos into our receiver, just so we can get a little count and we know what's going on here. AR636 receiver has 6 channel outputs on it. Alright, so the first one in channel 1 will be our throttle, which is this servo up front with a little blue flag. So right next to the bind port goes the electronic speed control, or in our case, a servo. So when I give it throttle, we can watch the little flag move. All right. In the second channel goes the ailerons. I got a Y harness right here, one going to each side. That goes in number 2. In number 3 goes the elevator. And we will plug the elevator into number 3. In number 4 goes the rudder. So we will get it right. Put number 4 in for the rudder. Number 5 will be our landing gear. This will be our landing gear servo. Just put a little flag on top of a servo. So this guy is right here. And then in channel 6 goes the flaps. That's another servo with this little flag right here. So we will plug that guy into number 6. I've got a Y harness on it to supply battery power for our demonstration. So a 6-channel receiver has all 6 ports taken up. All right. So in order to be able to assign a switch to turn safe on and off, you will need a transmitter that has more than 6 channels, because every channel on this receiver is being used for something on the plane. You know, throttle's 1, aileron 2, elevator 3, rudder 4, gear 5, flap 6. So we must have a transmitter with 7 or more channels in order to be able to control safe on and off. So let's bind the plane and show how we can operate safe on and off without a 7 channel. Alright, so we're using a 6-channel transmitter in a 6-channel plane. So the only way to control safe on and off in this case is to do it by the bind plug. And to bind the plane with safe select on, you would insert the bind plug into the bind port. Then you power the airplane. Then you pull the bind plug out. Now you grab your transmitter, flip the bind switch or the button, and turn it on. Stand back so it'll bind. There we go. Watch the control surfaces. So we call that 2 dances. Every control surface moved 2 times. That indicates that safe select is on. So let's run through our control surfaces. Ailerons, elevator, rudder, throttle, flaps, and gear. Giving it throttle, activated the AS3X. So let's see if it's working. You can see that the ailerons are moving. So is the elevator, so is the rudder. If you want to know if safe select is on, the quickest and easiest way is just to flip it upside down and see the ailerons go crazy. It's trying to right side the plane up. So safe select is on. Now, we don't have an extra channel to be able to tell the transmitter to turn, or to tell the receiver to turn safe select on and off while we're flying. So the way you turn safe select off is with the bind plug. So we're powering off the plane, we're powering off the transmitter, putting in the bind plug, powering the plane, leaving the bind plug in, turning on the transmitter, there we go. The control surfaces only did 1 dance, and that was it. So let's run through our control surfaces real quick. Ailerons, elevator, rudder, throttle, flaps, and the gear. So let's make sure AS3X is activated. It is. The control surfaces are moving. Ailerons, rudder, elevator. The AS3X is for the wind, for stability. If a gust of wind blows this wing up, then the aileron will come up to counteract it. See, I lift the wing, the green aileron goes up. So let's flip it upside down. There's no safe select. That's AS3X. The ailerons would be stuck out deflected right now trying to roll it over. So safe select is not on when you bind it, leaving the bind plug in. So now we want to be able to control safe select on and off by using the transmitter. Now we need a 7-channel transmitter or higher, because safe select can be turned on and off from the transmitter using any open channel 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. 5 through 9. 5 is taken, it's operating the landing gear on the P-51. 6 is taken, that's auxiliary 1. It's operating the flaps on the P-51. So that leaves 7, 8, and 9. So we have a 7th channel. Now that we have a 7-channel transmitter, and you can tell your receiver to turn safe select on and off using any channel 5 through 9. 6 channels are taken. We have a 7-channel transmitter. So now we need to tell our transmitter what switch is going to operate the 7th channel. Other transmitters are a little bit different, but this is how we're going to go about doing it in this one. I'm going to select my model. And then I'm going to go down here to switch select. And here is where we're going to figure out what switch is going to operate our 7th channel, which is auxiliary 2. And I have it set that my flight mode switch will operate auxiliary 2. And the flight mode switch is right here, the top left. Our gear is operating the gear channel, so that's the 5th. Our flap is operating the flaps, which is 6. It says inhibited here, but it's set up to use that because I selected one aileron, one flap, and it automatically assigned the flap switch to operate auxiliary 1, which is channel 6. So we'll go back to the main screen, and we'll just run through the servo setup here so we can see each channel. Throttle, ailerons, elevator, rudder, gear, flap is auxiliary 1, and then our auxiliary 2 is the 7th channel, which we have it set for the flight mode switch. And then we'll go to the monitor on the transmitter just so we can see the switches operating. So we have the throttle on the top is working, the ailerons, elevator, rudder, gear, flap, and then our 7th channel, auxiliary 2, is to the flight mode switch. So all 7 channels are operating in the transmitter, now sending a signal to the receiver. First, we'll bind this the same way we did with the 6-channel transmitter. So we have the bind plug. We'll power on the plane. We'll pull the bind plug out. Bind button, transmitter on. I'm stepping back. All right, let's watch the dances. All right, it did 2 dances. That means safe select is on. So we got the ailerons, we got the throttle, we got the elevator, we got the rudder, flaps, and then the landing gear. So let's check it real quick. Yep, AS3X is working. Safe select is working. We got our 7th channel to turn safe select on and off. Let's turn the switch. Safe select is still on. We haven't programmed it yet to use. We haven't programmed it and taught the transmitter what channel is going to tell the receiver to turn safe select on and off. So, to do that, we are going to get our bind plug, insert that into the bind port or the little extension. Then we power the plane, pull the bind plug out. We're going to bind it like we just did. There we go. All right, now at that point, you're going to pull both sticks down and towards each other. And the switch that we're going to use is our flight mode. We're going to flip it 5 times, which is actually 10 strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See the control surfaces make their dance? Now it recognizes what we just did. So we'll run back through it. Ailerons, elevator, rudder, throttle, flaps, gear. AS3X is working. Safe select is working. Our flight mode switch. AS3X is working. Safe select is not on. Once I hit the flight mode, the aileron should safe select. So now safe select is being able to be controlled on and off from the transmitter because we taught it using the 2 sticks down and flip the switch back and forth. If you decide you don't want that switch, go back into your transmitter, tell your transmitter what switch is going to be sending the auxiliary to signal, and do the back and forth with that switch, and then it will change it. Alright, so we had a couple more questions. One person said when their plane was on the ground and their transmitter trims are centered. Everything is centered. These are your trims, okay? There's one for each movement of the stick. Up and down will be this trim button right here. Left and right on the ailerons, here's your trim button here. The trim is to, help like the alignment on your car. If the plane was, veering to the right all by itself, you would hit the trim button to the left. Because if it was veering to the right and you were trying to manually hold it straight, you would be holding it left a little bit. So we can use the trimmer. But all the trimmers are centered, and when Safe Select is turned on, they say the ailerons are doing like this. So that could be a couple things. One is the plane is actually not sitting level on the ground. Maybe the landing gear's bent. Maybe the ground is uneven. Maybe the receiver is not mounted flat in the plane. And it needs to be mounted flat in the plane, true and parallel to the plane being, flat. You can't mount it kind of diagonally inside the plane and expect the receiver to understand exactly what is straight and true to the airplane. I'm going to rock this receiver back and forth a little bit, and you can watch the ailerons. Doesn't take much, does it? So if your plane has a bent landing gear, or let's just say it has a flat tire, and it's like that on the ground, then yes, the ailerons are going to be cockeyed because it's constantly wanting to level it out. Another thing to check to make sure, once again, your trims are centered in your transmitter. Safe Select off. Check to see that your control arms on your receiver are perfectly 90 degrees. Make sure the arm on your control surface is 90 degrees, and then the push rod is going straight across. So it's 90, straight across, and 90. Then when you turn Safe Select on, and the ailerons are still kind of cockeyed, then the plane is probably not sitting perfectly level, or the receiver is not mounted perfectly level. And make sure all that is checked, and then rebind the plane with the plane sitting level. If it's a tail dragger like the P51, go ahead and pick the tail up. Don't bind it with the rear wheel down like that, because then there's a good chance that the receiver is going to think that's level flight. So go ahead and pick the back wheel up. Make sure you get your plane sitting level in that direction, and then rebind it. It's not a bad idea, folks, to rebind it every so often. Carry a bind plug with you. Maybe do it, every weekend or every 20 flights or something. It's kind of like your cell phone. Turn it off and on every now and again. And then also make sure that your trims are truly centered. In some transmitters, they can be centered on your trimmers, but in servo setup, you could have it not centered. So verify, double, triple, quadruple check that everything is centered in the transmitter. Make sure your plane is sitting level, the landing gear is not bent, the picnic table you're putting on is not actually leaning. Make sure all the servo arms are 90, 90, 90 and straight across. And then see if it's still that. And check the receiver, because it doesn't take much for the receiver to be off a little bit to move the aileron. Sit. All right, guys. Okay, guys. Hey, that's all I got for this one. I hope that helped a few people out. I hope the person that originally asked does get to see this. Once again, I apologize it was so far back, but I just get busy, and it's not possible to answer every single comment. I do go through the ones that I can select contain a question, and I check those out about once a week. So I'll get to you sooner or later. So, but if it's really important, feel free to send several of them. That way, maybe it catches my attention. So, all right, guys. Once again, that's all I got for this one. I appreciate it. What about our new mascot here? This is Bob Ross. If you're, I guess, under the age of 30, you probably don't know who that is. But anyways, thank you so much. So, subscribe if you haven't. Ginger and Bob said, hey, subscribe to my dad's channel. That'd be cool. And click the like button, leave me a comment, and ring this guy right here, the notification bell, so you don't miss my next video. And all right, guys, hey, until next time, you'll see me here, right there. If you want to win a jet like this, all you have to do is subscribe. Click the like button and leave a comment. And then ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. At 1,000 subscribers, we gave this jet away. At 5,000, we're going to give another one. I don't know what it is yet. We'll see when that time comes. So, hey, subscribe, guys. Happy flying.